Hello, everybody. My name is Dr. Khadijah Ali-Coleman. I'm one of the co-founders of the Black Family Home Educators and Scholars Group, um, the group that is presenting this teaching to you this week. I am very pleased to introduce our second guest of the teaching, who will be talking about um, who will be answering the question, the igniting question, what truth needs to be shared regarding Black homeschooling. But before she gets to that, I would like for her to introduce herself to you, telling you her name, as well as a little bit about herself as a homeschooling parent.
Awesome. Thank you. So thanks for organizing and for having me. My name is Tahira Goldson, and I am a working homeschooler. My career had been in curriculum development before professional development for adults, before I shifted gears and opened a home care agency that serves seniors. So I think for me, it was really important to explore curriculum from that lens. With adults, we expect 100% that we have to bring value to the table, that they would like to learn something if it's useful. And those are things that aren't necessarily assumed in elementary education. That we probably should assume. I wanted to just really build community around working homeschoolers.
Wonderful. And so I understand that in addition to that, that work that you do professionally, you also developed a homeschooling co-op. Is that correct?
That's right. So, in the process of really searching for community, I worked with several moms to found, but ultimately executed Mason Inspired Bowie, which is a homeschool cooperative that, in particular, is attempting to bridge the gap between folks who consider themselves traditional homeschoolers, where that may be their primary occupation, to working homeschoolers who may have multiple duties, including homeschooling, under their umbrella or their purview.
Now, when you say Mason inspired, is that um, a technique, a
Oh.
particular technique
Oh,
that
sure. Yes. So I'm glad that you asked that. So Charlotte Mason is an educator who advocated homeschool, but about 100 years ago in the United Kingdom. She was really dynamic in that she was really devout in her faith. She was a poet, and she also was a career educator. She was an orphan who ultimately did not have children. So her practice of education was really the way that she connected with young people. And there are two real pillars that have caused a global movement where folks have applied the Charlotte Mason method. One is she felt like if you open a book and it's not engaging in the first few sentences, the first few paragraphs, it is not fit to use in education. And that criteria is called a living book, that we could teach history that way, we could teach math that way, we could teach language arts that way. So I think that's one of the hallmarks of the process. And then the other of a Charlotte Mason approach is just really a focus on being outdoors, being aware of nature, and nature study being emphasized. And that's some of the first things that tend to be taken away is outdoor play in public and private settings. But one of the driving forces, driving course corrections of homeschoolers is that they try to have more field trips or be outside. And that was right up Charlotte Mason's alley in terms of advice.
that's wonderful. As African American or Black, I don't know how if you identify as African
Yeah, I was
American.
like, all of those are great.
um, but as a Black homeschooler, do you find, in addition to that mindset of homeschooling, is there anything in particular that you also incorporate as the leader of your co-op?
So I think the part of the reason that I believe that the Charlotte Mason approach is really compelling is that she was really revolutionary for 100 years ago in the UK, right? So for where she was, for her to really focus on inclusion, and that means inclusion of female authors, inclusion of African American authors, for her to be emphasizing that at a time where I think we had much less access to travel and being a global citizen, and the benefit of many movements to be able to reincorporate rights that were kind of dismissed or taken away. Part of what we focus on is making sure that we're using that philosophy, but in the modern approach. So the body of work that she had to choose from was much more limited when it came to worldviews and perspectives. But her philosophy was that you should be able to balance with many worldviews. And I think you cannot really discuss being African American or of the Black diaspora or American without discussing or without acknowledging that African Americans are of mixed heritage by definition, right? And so being able to explore what that means early on, I think helps to ground our young people in their own identity in a way that a lot of us did not have the opportunity to do, who are adults, who are still exploring our culture and learning about African diaspora history, even our own family history, because it wasn't put in the forefront for most of our elementary and high school education.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. So as we come to the question that you're going to discuss or respond to, I wanted you to include all of that. So make it as relevant to your own teaching practice, as well as bringing in, again, the philosophy that you utilize in that teaching practice individually and as a co-op group. So the question that you chose is, what truth needs to be shared about Black homeschooling families?
Awesome. So yes, that question really stood out to me because I think the truth that needs to be shared about Black homeschooling families is that no system, no process is one size fits all, right? I think that what we've been trained in traditional education settings is that we are to kind of fit into education as opposed to education being there to serve us, right? So the Charlotte Mason method, the philosophy is to put beautiful things, whether it's artwork, whether it's food, whether it is just beautiful stories written at a high caliber, to put that in front of the learner. And some of those things are going to be attractive, right? Like if I'm at a really high-end buffet, everything is not going to be exciting to me, but if everything is really high quality, that sampling has given me a better understanding, a better appreciation of what is even out there to offer, right? So I think the truth is that, one truth is that that's my daughter in the background. Education, period, should not be one size fits all. And one of the great opportunities we have that has traditionally in human history been available to us that in the past maybe 50 or 100 years has not, is been parents have been the primary educator all along, right? And that used to be more acceptable or more common, that a class size, if the family is educating, a class size of over 12 would probably not happen. And that's over hundreds of years. So it's new that we have class sizes of 30 and 40. So I think this idea that you can shape education, curriculum, opportunities, experiences to the needs of your individual children or to your individual family is something that if we latch on to first, it makes everything else easier. So we're not so panicked about, did we choose the right curriculum, right? Or are we following the Charlotte Mason method to a T? It's what parts of this system serve me well, and what parts do I need to rework or re-examine? And I can do that re-examination after a week, after a school year, after 6. I'm not locked in a way that is inflexible and just not beneficial to the family.
Well said.
Yeah.
You have any last words, anything final that you'd like to
Oh my
share?
goodness. Okay, hey, I'm wrapping up. So yeah, absolutely. So I think one more truth. You want to say hi? Okay, hi. One more truth that I wanted to share is that I feel that a lot of times we expect resistance as African Americans, and rightfully so, but before it's present, right? And I think that in a lot of cases, we have support in homeschool infrastructure that if we don't see, we can support each other and create it. So one of the things that I thought was really great about creating a cooperative, right, is that it's important to be able to invest in systems that are not necessarily just driven for profit or just to make money. So I think our greatest asset, of course, is community and building that community. But if you don't see it, the truth is that we can reach out to each other, and it's not something where we have to be necessarily suspicious. We can try everything or try different things and do what works for us and discontinue anything that doesn't. So just anyone who's questioning if you can do it or not, a really common homeschool quote is, should you be questioning yourself, or should you be questioning a system that you graduated out of that didn't convince you that you could teach your child or teach your family, right?
Oh, that's deep. That's deep. That's a perfect ending. Thank you so much, Tahira, for joining us today. And I appreciate all of your feedback. And for those who are watching, we appreciate your response to this conversation regarding what truth needs to be shared. Please feel free to add your comment below or to share with us during our teach and breakout sessions on Friday, July 24th. Thank you.
Thank you.